So previously we've looked at while loops, and in this case we set the variable num equal to 1, and we said, well, while num is less than or equal to 100, we'll write whatever num is equal to. So in the first case it just writes 1, but then we add 1 to num by going num equals whatever num used to equal plus 1. So because it did equal 1, we add another 1 to it, so num now equals 2, and we run the loop again. And of course this stops when num equals 101 because it will no longer run the while loop. Now it's not drastically simpler, but a better style loop to use in a case where you know exactly how many times you want to do something is a for loop, and it's just slightly simpler than a while loop for the job you're trying to do. So it starts off with for instead of while, which is nothing too surprising in a lot of cases. We're going to say for num equals 1 to 100. And so what does this actually mean? Well, what it does is it sets the value of num, this variable we've created, equal to 1, and then it will increment itself each time until num gets to 100. So if we went and inside this loop said text window dot writeLine and did, oh, my apologies, text window dot writeLine, and we were just going to write what the value of num, and we simply end the for following that. And this does the same job as the one over here. Now notice that we've actually got 3 lines of code instead of 5, which is better in itself, but let's just run to see how that works. And again, exactly the same job is written from 1 to 100, but just done it in a much simpler way. I would encourage you to always use for loops where they're appropriate, i.e. when you know exactly how many times you want to do something. While loops are good for when you need to check until something is met, and for if you want to do something forever. For loops have extra uses in other programming languages when you start to look at lists or other types of arrays and data structures, in that they can loop through lists for you with even easier syntax, and they simplify things massively for you. However, Small Basic hasn't built this function in to their programming language. Microsoft has omitted that. So in this case, you could do everything you wanted to do with a while loop fairly simply, but it certainly is good practice to get your head around using for loops as well.